This is going to be a continuation of sorts of my video essay about Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water. There will be spoilers for Vinland Saga, the anime, and the manga in this video. Not detailed spoilers, but large-scale thematic ones, so you have been warned. If you disagree with my points or want me to elaborate more on my points, then please let me know in the comments. Vinland Saga is good for a lot of reasons, and I could tell it would be interesting from very early on because of the philosophy of Vinland Saga. When Thor says things like, "You have no enemies, no one has any enemies," or "A true warrior needs no sword," you can tell that there are going to be some thought-provoking ideas throughout the story. And sure enough, throughout the story, Vinland Saga explores the idea of what it means to be a true warrior. Vinland Saga proposes the idea that a true warrior is not someone who is good at waging war. They don't fight for a cause that they believe in. In fact, they try not to fight at all. A true warrior understands that war is not good, and they do everything they can to walk a path without violence. And this is interesting to watch, because how can someone live in the Viking Age without violence? The answer that Thorfinn comes to is that they can't. They have to run away, far away from war and slavery, and build a new land where those concepts don't exist. This is easier said than done, though. One of the holes in Thorfinn's plan is that there are people living in the place they want to move to. Thorfinn doesn't want to bring weapons because they can be used to wage war. But if they don't bring weapons, how can they protect themselves if the natives of this new land attack them? This has been the struggle of the Vinland arc so far, and it is where we start to see the connection with Avatar: The Way of Water. In Avatar 2, fighting was against the philosophy of the Tikkun. Even though humans have been hunting them, they won't fight back, and this is leading to their destruction. Though Avatar 2 focuses little on this issue, it is present, but for Vinland Saga, this is what has been driving the story since arguably the middle of the farm arc. I think that Vinland Saga brings to light a sort of cruel reality, a sort of extension of survival of the fittest. Thorfinn knows that if he wants to create a world without war and slavery, then weapons cannot exist in that world, because if a weapon is used just once, that society would fall into cycles of violence. That seems like a bit of a pessimistic statement, but let me try to explain. Imagine a society of almost complete peace. Nobody has ill will towards anyone else. Everyone gets along. They want to live in peace. But let there exist a single person who wishes to inflict violence. I will call them Person X. Imagine Person X commits a violent act. Immediately there is motivation from the other members of that society to make sure that this doesn't happen again, since they aim to be a peaceful society. They may try forms of persuasion, or less morally, manipulation, but ultimately without a means to physically inhibit Person X, they can't guarantee that Person X won't commit another violent act. If they want to stop Person X, they have to physically inhibit them. They need to use violence. Either Person X commits a violent act, or the society they live in does, but either way, the initial violence leads to more violence. I have only looked at a single scenario here, but I believe that it is idealized. Practically there are probably friends or supporters of Person X. The rest of society isn't so violence averse, etc. Violence leads to more violence, and on top of this, because of survival of the fittest, individuals and species which prioritize violence are the ones that survive and pass on their genetic material. They are rewarded for their violent acts in the form of passing the tendency on to future generations. Thorfinn understands that just one person needs to fall victim to the appeal of the sword for there to be motivation for others to oppose them via violence. And if they don't oppose this initial violence with violence of their own, then it can be perpetuated without consequence. The ugly truth is that the state of the natural world is violent. Peace is an unstable equilibrium. One small perturbation away from peace can result in its destruction. Violence is easy to create. Violence breeds more violence. One who is a true warrior fights the toughest battle of all. They fight against the dynamics of the universe. A true warrior needs no sword is not quite correct. We can excuse Thors because he didn't know any better. He wasn't a true warrior. The line should read, a true warrior cannot use a sword, because violence breeds violence, and by using a sword, A true warrior is not creating peace. He is not winning in his battle. But the idea of a true warrior extends beyond the fight on violence. In the Vinland arc, we have seen that the Linu are concerned about the land that the Vikings are taking to use as farmland. They believe that they are taking too much. In the farm arc, Thorfinn learned what it meant to create something instead of destroy, which was all he knew how to do in the war arc. But what Thorfinn overlooked during the farm arc is that he was still destroying, not what others had created, but still. To build a farm, he literally had to cut down an entire forest. The Vinland arc is still going on, and I can't say for sure how it will end, but Vinland Saga is a work of historical fiction. We know that the Vikings didn't successfully colonize North America. I don't believe that Thorfinn's settlement in Vinland will be successful, but the reason for this is not obvious. I believe that Thorfinn will realize that what he is doing is still a form of destruction, and he will fully extend the meaning of a true warrior as one fighting against the dynamics of the universe to live in peace. As in Misquekepuj's vision, excuse my pronunciation, the continued development of technology leads to the destruction of nature. Like with violence, technology has this runaway behavior, where if technologies can be developed, it will be developed at some point, and developing technology gives the ability to further develop technology, and resources will be continually used up. To be a true warrior will be to fight against the urge to develop technology, and Thorfinn won't settle Vinland because of what it will mean in terms of the environment. I'm not saying that destroying the environment is the worst thing ever. I personally am pro-environment, and I certainly think that living without technology is more sustainable in terms of longevity as a species. But life has a long history of altering the world around it. Many of the minerals on Earth today wouldn't be here without the existence of life. Our atmosphere would be vastly different. What we are doing is not exactly dissimilar to what life has done in the past. But life in the past has paid for this as well. The creation of an early version of photosynthesis more than 2 billion years ago led to a series of oxidation events, removing greenhouse gases from the atmosphere and plunging the Earth into an icehouse state for hundreds of millions of years, causing arguably the largest extinction event the Earth has ever seen. Avatar and Avatar 2 show that intelligence is understanding the dangers of expansionism, fighting against the natural way of the universe. And I think that Vinland Saga will try to explain how difficult it is to actually implement these ideas. It is a losing battle that only a true warrior can hope to take on, but it is a battle worth fighting.